Hey everyone, Ben here with Vance Outdoors, and today we're talking about the top 5 early spring baits for bass fishing. I'm going to go over each bait, and I'm also going to show you an option for rod, reel, and line combos, so that way you know what you need to throw them on. The first lure on the list is going to be the classic Ned rig, and you have a ton of different options for soft plastics. This included the Emo Kamushi from G-Crack. Pretty cool little bait. First up, we're going to talk about hook selection. So for me, it's going to be anywhere from the 1/15 to a 1/5 ounce on the traditional Finesse rooms here from Z-Man. And then if you go into like the football style that Z-Man makes, it's probably hard to see that, but yeah. If you go into the football style that Z-Man makes there, I'm going to go into like a 1/4 ounce, and then you can also use a Z-Man like the swim bait style head here, and you can use a little mini swim bait, and you could still kind of Ned rig that. But that would be your hook selection, and there are tons of different companies that make stuff. Blue Rock makes an EWG if you wanted to make it weedless, and if you want to go traditional Ned rig style hooks, Z-Man makes a ton of different stuff. Let's move into the soft plastics now. So if you're gonna go traditional and keep it like the OG Ned rig, you're just gonna wanna use a stick bait. And that's gonna be anything from like 2.5 inches to 3 inches. So that's your little Finesse TRD. And Z-Man also, they came out with a new one. It's the TRD Fatties. And this is like the bigger version, but they scaled it down for the Ned rig. And also, if you wanted to, you could throw something like this G-Crack Emo Kamushi, and it's a pretty unique bait, floating just like the Z-Man. It's elastomer stuff too, so it will stretch and it will last a super long time. For the rod and reel combo, you want to use a spinning setup, and I have the Adrian Avina Pro Series rod here from Albert Garcia. It's a 7'4" medium power fast action tip. And I've got it paired up with the Revo X 2000 size spool. I'm either going to do 8-pound braid to a 6-pound fluorocarbon leader, or what I have here, the 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. I use an FG knot to connect these two together, and you can also use an Alberto knot or a uni to uni knot. But I would run about a rod length of leader on this setup, and then tie her off and go have some fun. Next lure on the list is going to be some type of a suspending jerkbait, and I have 2 options here from the store. I have the Rapala Maverick 110, and this has the new red line hooks from VMC. It's a really nice jerkbait. This one is going to be a hard cutting and suspending jerkbait. And second, I have the 6 Sense Provoke 106X. And this bait is going to be a suspending and slow floating. So if you let it sit long enough, it's going to start floating back up to the surface. You want a slow floating or suspending option in the spring because these fish are lethargic, and you want this thing to look like a dead bait fish. So when you're pausing, it's just going to sit right there and stall out, and they're going to come up and bite it. So this is a perfect bait for early spring. Now let's talk about the rod, reel, and line setup for this lure. You want to have something that's like 6.5 to 7 feet long. You want a medium power rod with a fast action tip. And you also want to look for something with a shorter handle length here, because when you're working the jerkbait, you don't want the butt end of the rod to hit your forearm. It makes it a whole lot easier to pause the jerkbait with this shorter rod handle here. And this is the Lew's Team Signature Series rod, and it's KVD's 7-foot medium fast action custom rod, and I've got it paired up with a Lew's custom 7:5-to-1 gear ratio reel, and that's important. You want to have something fairly quick. It's kind of right in the middle. You don't want something super slow like a 6-to-1. You don't want something super fast like an 8-to-1. So the 7-to-1 gear ratio is going to be perfect. And for the line on this setup, I would suggest the J Fluoro Samurai line from Daiwa. This is a 10-pound fluorocarbon. It's going to be perfect for a jerkbait. Okay, next up on the list is going to be some type of a spinnerbait. And for me personally, I like to run either a double willow blade, as you can see here, or a combo with a willow and a Colorado blade. It gives a little bit more thump and attraction to the spinnerbait. If I'm going to be throwing it in dirty or stained water, I'm going to go with a darker color like this. You can still use a chartreuse in the darker stained water as well, but if I'm throwing it in clear water, I'm either going to use a chartreuse or a white spinnerbait. And I prefer the double willow in clear water. And for a trailer, I'm going to use something like a soft plastic jerkbait like this. Any kind of a fluke style lure you can get away with. Something like that would be perfect for that little chartreuse spinnerbait. And also, if you wanted to not run a soft plastic trailer, you can also pick up a trailer hook. It's going to increase your hookup ratio and help you out there if you're getting short strikes and not catching the fish. All right, for the rod and reel combo, I have the Jacob Wheeler Signature Series Ducket Rod. This is a medium heavy backbone, medium heavy power with a moderate action tip. And that's going to help you fight the fish and not lose leverage with the spinnerbait setup or a chatterbait. And then I've got it paired up with the Shimano SLX DC. This is a digital chip reel, and it's a 7:2-to-1 gear ratio. And then for the line, I'm going to recommend the P-Line 15-pound fluorocarbon. Okay, next up on the list is going to be a lipless crankbait, or as some of you might know it, a rattle trap. This is a killer bait for the early spring. It's going to make a bunch of noise, and you can fish it a bunch of different ways. You can cast it out, reel it in, you can cast it out, kill it, pop it, jig it. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, rip it through grass. It's a killer bait to throw out in the early spring. So I've got a couple different options here. I have the Strike King Red Eye Shad, and they make two different versions. They make the original here with the original rattles, and they make a 2-tap tungsten version. And me personally, I'm gonna pick up something that's in like a shad pattern, as you can see here, or something that's a bright red crawl pattern. And also I have something here from Yozuri. This is another shad pattern. It's their rattle and vibe. Really nice lipless crankbait here. The rod and reel combo for the lipless crankbait is going to be the Daiwa Kage medium heavy power, moderate action tip. This is their moving bait versatile rod. And then I'm going to pair it with a 7:1-to-1 gear ratio. This is a Tatula 100 reel. And then for the line on this setup, I'm going to pair it with a 12-pound Seaguar and VizX full fluorocarbon. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to use a Finesse jig. And I'll have two different types in my tackle box. I'm going to start with a 1099 from Blue Rock. And this is a straight up jig, and I will cut the skirt down so it's more of a Finesse style jig. And I'll also use the Finesse ball head jig, as you can see here. This one's already cut down and ready to rock. But I will cut that 1099 to look just like this on the top of the skirt there. And then I'm going to pair it with something that's not going to flap a ton. This is the Yamamoto Flappin' Hog. And I'm going to cut that down quite a bit, cut the appendages off, and turn it into a chunk style bait, as you can see here. Also, for another trailer, you can use a Zoom Super Chunk Junior. This is a good option for a trailer. And as you can see here, I've got it paired up with black and blue, green pumpkin blue. Primarily, I'm going to use the black and blue jig for stained water and a green pumpkin style jig for clear water. And you can mix and match trailers. I will, every once in a while, throw a black trailer on the green pumpkin jig, and vice versa for the black and blue jig. As you can see here, I've got the green pumpkin trailer. Rod and reel setup for the Finesse jig is going to be something in the range from 6.5 to 7 feet long, and you want a medium heavy power, fast action rod. Any kind of jig fishing, you want something like that with a good backbone. And then you're going to want to pair it with a 7 or 8:1-to-1 gear ratio reel. And this setup specifically is the new St. Croix Black Bass 7-foot, 1-inch, medium heavy fast action rod with a Shimano Curado MGL 150 HG, and that's a 7:4-to-1 gear ratio. And I'm going to pair this setup with the 14-pound Sunline FC Sniper. It's the perfect fluorocarbon for a jig. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap our video for today. If you're new to fishing, I really hope this video helped you out to try to help you find some new baits for early spring. If you're a seasoned angler, I hope I showed you something new to try. And if you have any questions, like always, please ask those down below and we'll do our best to answer them for you. Also, do me a favor and add your top favorite early spring baits down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.